Different seasons definitely have us thinking about different elements of fashion. The winter season has me thinking of multiple layers to keep yourself warm and cozy during those frosty days. The end of the holiday season and the promise of the new year often has us dressed in our finery and our shiny best. This truth had me thinking about how that scrap of embroidered detail or even that beautiful texture added to a simple design could elevate it to a whole new level. The statement piece pattern pairs that beautiful single shoulder fitted bodice with a voluminous bubble skirt or the option to make it a floor length cascade. To complete the look, the shoulder is adorned with a 9-petal floral accent. In today's sewing tutorial, we'll be putting together that bubble skirt, utilizing a piece of unique and fuzzy texture to elevate the look. The bubble dress on the statement piece pattern consists of 10 pieces. We have the front of the bodice, 2 side bodices, the back of the bodice, and 2 side backs. We have the underskirt or the lining of the bubble, and then we have the overskirt. I'm going to be sewing this today out of a black silk with a lace overlay on the bodice. The lining piece is simply some polyester, and the external portion I'm going to be using this cool textured polyester to make a little bit more dramatic statement. So the first step in getting the construction started is to grab our bodice pieces and take some small clips in towards the curved edges and sew the side front sections to the front sections. Next, we'll grab the side backs and sew them to the back section. Once we press those seams open, we'll sew the front of the bodice to the back at the side seams. With the bodice complete, you're going to do the exact same steps to create the lining. The only additional step that you're going to take here is to fold the lining waist edge up 1/4 inch and give it a press. You do want to take note before constructing the lining that it is a direct mirror image of the bodice. We'll pin the lining to the bodice along the neck edge. With the lining pinned to the bodice, we'll sew across the top edge. We'll go around the back of the neck, around the armhole opening, following the neck edge all the way to the left back opening and coming down that side to where we have the folded lining edge. You will leave the shoulder strap area on both the front and the back unsewn. You'll check both sides, clip and trim down that seam allowance, turn the bodice right side out, and give it a press. Once you have the bodice turned right side out and you've carefully pressed it so that the lining isn't showing from the external portion, we're going to set it aside for a moment and get the skirt constructed. The skirt construction is super easy. You're going to take the front of the skirt and the back of the skirt sections, place them right sides together, and sew the side seams. Then you'll repeat that same process with the underskirt lining pieces. These textured fabrics can be a little bit slippery, so you do want to make sure that you pin it well or use some clips to hold the layers in place. With the side seams sewn on both skirt pieces and the lining seams pressed open, we're going to run a gathering stitch along the hem edge and also the waist edge of the textured piece. With the gathering stitches in place, we're going to pull those gently to match the lining and pin it together at the hemline. You'll place the lining to the lining and the exterior portion of the skirt to the exterior portion, matching that hem. You'll take note that on the pattern that the opening stops 1.5 inches from the waist edge of the skirt on both the lining and the exterior portion. With the two pieces pinned together, you're going to sew from the dot to the dot as indicated on the pattern. You will clip in towards the seam allowance right where that opening starts on both pieces. You'll turn the textured portion of the garment to the outside, leaving the lining to the inside. You're going to pull the waist edge gathering stitch to match the lining, also being aware that you want to match those side seams of the underskirt. With the lining pinned in place, you're going to run a gathering stitch around the waist edge and then get it attached to the bodice. We'll pull the gathering stitches at the waist, place it right sides together to the bodice matching the side seams, and get the skirt sewn to the top. For the right back opening, I've added just a little bit of fray check to keep that seam from fraying, and then I'm going to sew those two pieces together. That's going to be the under piece or the receiving piece for the snaps. On the left back opening, I'm going to just tuck the fuzzy part in about 1/4 inch, as well as the lining, so that gives it a finished edge before attaching it to the bodice. Next, we'll grab our bodice, place the skirt right sides together, gently pull that gathering stitch, match the side seams, as well as the center front peak of the bodice, and get that sewn together. Once you have the textured portion of the dress attached, you do just want to give a gentle tug away from that waist seam to make sure that you caught that textured fabric equally all the way around, and it looks like we did a pretty good job with that. As best you can, you're going to press that seam allowance up. Be really careful not to melt your textured material, and then we're going to zigzag or serge the right back opening together. I've pinned the folded edge of the lining to that waist seam. I'm going to grab my needle and thread and just hand baste those two pieces together. At this stage, you'll grab one of your dolls and check the fit. Here's a quick fit of the dress on our Divine Inspiration Ellowyne, and I have to say I think everything's coming together quite nicely. We have just a few more steps and our project is almost complete. What we're going to do here at the shoulder seam is we're going to tuck in the raw edge of the front strap and then just push the back strap into it and secure it. We're going to mark the placement for the snaps and get the snaps sewn in place. And the final step will be to create the 9-petal shoulder adornment. As you can see on this example, I used the overlay on the flower and added some beads to the center. But on the second dress, I just did simply the fabric without an overlay and beads at the center. Either way, you're going to create all 9 petals in the exact same way, and it takes just a few minutes to create this dramatic look. We have 5 larger petals and 4 smaller petals to the center. You create the petal by folding it in half. Once you have it in half, you'll take the upper right corner and fold that in half to create a triangle. Then you'll grab that exterior portion on the right and fold it to that fold line in the center, which almost looks a little bit like you're creating a sailor hat. And then just take your needle and thread, grab those layers together, and repeat that process on the second side. So folding the left corner in towards the folded edge, Then folding the left side into that folded edge as well. Then using your needle and thread to grab those folds. You want to use a running stitch to do this because you're going to pull these gathers a little bit tighter when you have all of the petals connected. Once you have your 5 petals created, you're going to pull that gather gently, bringing all of the end pieces in towards the center. You can pull that even tighter so that the ends actually meet. And while you're creating the smaller petals, you can add a little fray check to the raw edges of the internal portion of that flower. With our 4 smaller petals complete, we can add a little fray check to the raw edges. Then we can place it on top of the larger petals and secure it in place. At this point, you can grab some sequins or some beads to add a little bit of intrigue to the center of that flower and get it sewn to the shoulder of the dress. There is no doubt that Ellowyne will be the belle of the New Year's ball wearing her statement piece dress. With the addition of that textured fabric in the bubble of the skirt, I think she looks absolutely fantastic. If you have any questions about the construction of this statement piece bubble dress, please list it in the comment section below. As always, I thank you guys for your time and watching. I invite you to hit that like and subscribe button and the notification bell, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.